I'm Galen, and Galen's got Parkinson's. That's why I keep doing that with my glasses. I'm going like that, because I'm all dribbly and going. That wasn't very nice, was it? Anyway, you know, what can I tell you? If you're irritated by the disabled, go away. Unclean. I digress. So, rules. Who wrote them? Where did they come from? They were in a proper book. And they had a little pink card. And these men were all poring over them and throwing dice. And average dice. I saw average dice. Never seen an average dice. Wow. And this brings us to the fourth stone in our building the game as it completed the 1970s decade. Phil Barker. Phil was an academic. He spent the majority of his teaching life in Birmingham at secondary grammar school level. He didn't lecture at universities. He was an academic in particularly ancient Greek and Roman history. He looked at wargaming as a hypothesis. What would have happened if that had done? And he didn't want people to recreate battles. He wanted people to be commanders of their own armies. He pioneers army lists, something we use today. Point systems are basically army lists. You buy a game now that has a point system, and I can think of many, you thank Phil. That's where it comes from. He wanted people to see rules as a place for argument. He wanted people to meet halfway with the rule. He didn't expect the rule to be set in a tablet of stone, because war isn't like that. People have problems and issues. They say, well, why can't I do that? You know, why can't you have a rule that does that in every circumstance? In every single circumstance, I can walk 6 inches. That's nonsense. Fine, that's great. Debate it. Get it out of your system. Bad dice throws. Explain them. How come those B-class infantry archers have just shot all their arrows and hit nobody? Well, maybe the weather conditions are bad. Maybe they've not had anything to eat for 3 days. Maybe they've been marching all night. Ooh, maybe they're led by an idiot. Maybe they've been sent substandard equipment. You don't know what it is, but you're a general on a horse over there. There's 10, 20,000 people under your command. How are you going to know why he isn't very good at shooting today? Why do you need to know? The reality is dice throws average themselves out over a game. He started off making rules for ancient games. He becomes very quickly, and this is in the 1960s, right? This is the start of people playing games. Very quickly it becomes competitive. He becomes the norm. He becomes the authority that people consult. By all accounts, he was very uncompromising. I'm not sure I would have got on with him. He made the game better, and you can't argue with that. So I'd say I'd never seen anything like that, and I continued using that system for a long time. I mean, it develops into other simpler systems, but it never quite covered out. I don't think it ever quite worked. I think Wargames Research Group, WRG, works. Might be laborious, you might not be liking it, but it will work. One of them, somebody asked me, one of our lovely subscribers, hiya, about what's the best game I ever played for a rule system. And to be honest, it was a Napoleonic WRG game, and I personally employed pure Napoleonic tactics. I heavily weighted one flank, and I had the middle and the right flank deliberately weaker than they weren't weak, but where I might have 3 units, middle and on the right, I had 4 or 5 on the left, and I hit everything on the left, and I folded the enemy up. I suppose really with these little pieces about my heroes, what I'm saying is these are people that influence me. They are people who, before I began gaming, had already changed the game and made the game what it was when I walked into a club in 72. And then heroes are the people who influenced me as I went along through the 70s. And so without Wargames Research Group, I wouldn't have understood rules. Now, I change rules, I write my own rules, but I know Wargames Research Group, I understand, and a lot of the army lists from Wargames Research Group are still followed in other games. They might be diluted, they might be changed, but they are still historically accurate rules, and that came from Wargames Research Group. Yeah, ta-ra, Chuck.